So welcome to Profile Street TV, and today we're joined by a very special guest over in Manchester. So Patricia, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us today. I'm delighted to have you with us.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me, Kieran. I guess this is the upside of COVID, is that you can reach out to people further afield.
For sure, and you're further afield, but not a million miles away either. But
Yeah.
do for anyone watching this, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing over in Manchester?
Yes, so I am the director for a tech incubator called Tech Manchester, and we support very early stage startups in the sort of the 0 to 12 months period of their journey, and those businesses that really at ideation stage haven't really built a product, haven't got an MVP or prototype, or have taken anything to market. So we're really helping to get them through that first 12 months, get them to launch, and get them on their way. I've been here for 3.5 years, so I suppose they've flown by. I came across for the job. At the time, the incubator didn't exist. It was very much an idea itself, and was the idea of the co-founders of UK Fast, which is a cloud hosting provider here in Manchester, Lawrence and Gail Jones. They wanted to do a piece of philanthropic work to help support the tech community that had served them so well and help build their £400 million business over 20 years. And we continue to be funded from them and their family business now that they have exited UK Fast.
Isn't it incredible when we see companies giving back so much? It means so much to, and the amount of startups I'm sure you're impacting and helping. Because again, in my journey, pre this, I was in a startup as well, had my own business, 5 hard years, and wish I had some more mentors to kick me into shape, to be honest. But I missed out a lot. I could have done what you maybe give me a kicking around the room. I think we probably made the mistakes in that first initial period. And the problem is when you start and you start to deviate from where you should be going, by the time you get to year 2 and year 3, you're miles away. And so I'm a classic example of what not to do in a startup. So I can tell you all the things not to do, but not what to do. So it's very interesting. So Tech Manchester. So what do you do then? You actually take young companies in and help them with their vision.
Yeah, so we provide them with sort of a whole range of different support. Kind of falls under 4 pillars. We do a lot around education. Certainly at that earlier stage, the last thing that you want to give them at that point is money until they actually know have a bit of knowledge under their belt in terms of how to best use that. So we provide a lot of digital workshops, a lot of intense sort of business skills clinics. We run a weekly podcast, answering the challenges that keep entrepreneurs awake at night, which you can catch on any podcast platform, called Fast Forward Tech. And we record and broadcast those workshops on our YouTube channel on Tech Manchester TV, so that they're accessible to any startup beyond the Greater Manchester area. So any startups in Northern Ireland that are looking a bit of help around, social media automation, how to build a digital strategy, a content strategy, you'll get all those workshops free and accessible on YouTube. We also run, as you mentioned, a mentoring program. We now have the largest mentoring program for tech businesses in the Northwest, with over 200 business leaders, just like you, Kieran, who have been there and done it, and actually want to help someone at that earliest stage, as well as develop themselves personally. And we have now, through those variety of initiatives, worked with over 500 businesses across the Northwest over the last 3.5 years. There's a whole bunch of other support we provide, PR and comms support from the resources that we've been able to historically tap into here on campus through the different brands, as well as UK Fast. And just help elevate the profile of those businesses into tech publications like Business Cloud Magazine, Prolific North, the Manchester Evening News, which results in customers and investment opportunities for those businesses as well.
Wow, absolutely incredible.
So that's my day job.
yeah, that's Monday taken care of. Wow. No, but it's incredible. Do you find when you're helping startups, do you find that there's common problems that a lot of startups face that's similar, and you're going, oh wow, okay, there's like a critical thing that people should look out for?
Yeah, and in all the different sort of channels of the business. So whether it's trying to, validate your product, how do they go about doing that? If they validated it, how do they go about then trying to raise investment? And what are all the investment opportunities, whether that's crowdfunding or self-funding, which we encourage. The best place you can raise finance from is from your customers. And do that as long as you can, because you will benefit from it longer in the long run, or right through to crowdfunding and other kind of channels that you can explore with angels and VCs and things like that, as well as debt funding. I think then probably just the finer, the less sexy stuff, should I say, finance for your business, what you should be doing. Startup law is a huge one. We've seen quite a few businesses here fall foul of not having shareholder agreements early on, and when those businesses have succeeded, but the founders have maybe wanted to part ways, that you find that they haven't put the right legal structures in place at the get-go, and it costs them heavily. We've seen a number of businesses here actually fold and collapse over issues like that. So it's really important to get those building blocks right from the outset.
And again, it makes me think, when you're listing all those issues, I'm thinking of,
it's nodding.
Never,
yes.
No,
yes, that was hard. Yes, everything's hard.
Exactly. But this is why startups should be looking at places like yourself and expertise like yourself, because you only learn from making mistakes. But if you can go and actually be talked out of walking into pits of doom by avoiding at least some of the mistakes, and in fairness, we did get really good advice. Some of it we listened to, some of it we really should have listened to. But you know yourself, you know everything yourself, and that's it. But it's incredible, and you're seeing these common mistakes and how you can guide people from avoiding them. So it's really interesting. As you say, the structure of a business, it is so not a priority. Until
we're all friends. Yeah, we're all friends. But it even it becomes an obstacle then for people to invest. The different, whether it's an angel or anyone that's wanting to put any equity into your business, expect to see those documents. So even if you haven't fallen out and you haven't sorted that out from the get-go, to go back and retrospectively do it then causes issues, because then founders have put in a lot of work and they may have a different view. Say if it's two co-founders at the start, 50-50, 2 years down the line, somebody might feel that they've done a bit more work than the other person, and that starts creating problems. So yeah, it's very important to get those things started at the get-go. One of the big topics here in Manchester has, for a number of years here, has been the skills gap as well. Startups and bigger companies struggle with getting the right digital skills into their businesses, and that has led to a huge focus on an exploration around the lack of diversity within the tech sector. And I don't really know what it's like in Northern Ireland. I suppose we've always historically had a bit of a different challenge there. But certainly here in Manchester, there's a severe lack of women. There's I wouldn't say on paper it looks like that the BME community is fairly represented based on the percentage of the total workforce they are in the UK. They're about 17%. But actually there's a hidden figure in there, because there's a higher number of computer science graduates who come from the BME community. So actually it should be around about 27 to 30%. If it's fairly replicable of the technical people that are coming out of with qualifications. So we're a little bit behind on that as well. So there's lots of work to do here in Manchester to have much more diverse, fill their skills gaps, have much more diverse, innovative companies as a result.
Wow. I would think every region across UK, Ireland, and probably around the world has a lot of work still to do that. And is there initiatives, or what do you think is the way forward with that? There's no easy answer, I'm sure.
No, there's no easy answer, and there's no silver bullet to it. There's a huge amount of work that needs to be done. So for women, for example, we're 50% of the population, or 49%. We're a huge talent pool, but there's only 17% of the tech workforce are women. And if you look at the really technical, if you start getting into cloud, technologies, you start getting into sort of, mid-level developers, you start getting into cyber, it's more realistically around about 5 or 6%. And that causes problems in technology, because then, you have people that are building technology that doesn't consider, all of society. And there's a million examples of technology that has been built without the 50% of the population in mind. I could bore you with a number of examples on that. Apple Health, for example, didn't include, fertility cycles when it launched Apple Health. Amazon had to abandon a huge AI project because they had fed 10 years of CV data into their new recruitment tool, and it learned that the word woman was bad because most of the CVs that it got fed were from men. And there are lots of things that haven't factored in the full of society and created the best problem-solving technologies that would benefit us all. But yeah, there's lots of stuff going on here. I'm sure there's things going on in Northern Ireland. We were very lucky here in the north to work on a pilot program with the Combined Authority. So that's the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. It's the 10 LEPs that work together collectively in partnership with DCMS to create a fast track fund, which was, I can't even remember how many millions, quite a few millions, I think 5. And what they were looking to do was to explore underprivileged and disadvantaged communities across the region, and to plug them into employer-ready digital fast-track digital training programs. And we're very fortunate to have been successful in tendering to deliver that in partnership with a number of community and education organisations in the heart of some of the most disadvantaged areas in Manchester. I think everybody's heard of Moorside at some point in their life. One of the poorest wards in the UK, highest levels of child poverty. And so where UK Fast's campus, where we're based, is based in the heart of that local area. So we're working very closely with a couple of community organisations, the TAP Project, and also HeroWorks, who specialise in leadership training for women. And our programme is dedicated to women and to those areas, which means we have very high levels of ethnic minority women that are participating, about 75%, and we're getting them through Linux qualifications, networks qualifications, infrastructure qualifications, which will make them very attractive to employers like UK Fast and also other hosting providers in the city like Amazon and M247. So we're very excited. We're going to make our mark and change the world.
No, it's brilliant actually. And we have a development team of 5 in house, and yes, exactly, only one person is a lady, which you're right, you're very aware of, and my word does an amazing job, second in the team, and has an amazing future ahead of her. But you're right, when you're looking at the CVs coming in, you're just wondering what is this and why is that? And it's amazing to hear that your organisation and UK Fast are dedicated to actually making such a big change, because you're right that the talent, we've the skills shortage on one hand.
Yeah, but what are you going to do about it? We all have to do something about it. Yeah. We can't just say that there is one and that we're all very inclusive businesses and come and work for us, because the candidates aren't out there because they're not coming through the system. So we all have to do something about it and fix the problem ourselves. I think right now it's obviously there's so much emotion around the current sort of political climate because of what's been happening in America. And I think, we're at an opportunity to make some real change, but I think we're just going to quietly just keep getting on with what we're doing, and we'll see that organically happen within the business and see the positive impact that it'll have. I mean, there's millions of case studies and research that tells you that businesses that are diverse, both from an ethnic and gender point of view, are almost 20% more profitable than ones that aren't. So, you'd be mad not to be seriously thinking about it at this point.
No. Again, stats I didn't know about. So that's great to know. So thank you. And do you think any business can improve diversity in their own team? Is there any easy wins, or is it mindset and just to have to physically focus on it?
That's a really, really great question. I think everybody has to do their little bit. There's not going to be one magical solution to this, and it can't also come from the government. It needs to come from the private sector. So, businesses from senior leadership down, you need role models. So, you can actively look and encourage recruitment companies that you're using to send you over 50-50 candidates from men and women, for example. You can, actively put that onus on them to go and do a bit of hard work and find those people. But once you have those role models in senior leadership, that they can be then implementing change and encouraging everyone within their organization to do their little bit. We all should have some kind of volunteering time within our work day. And those could be used to going out to speak to schools, mentoring kids in schools. There's a huge focus here about industry. I think there's the Gatsby principles. I don't know, is that active in Northern Ireland? Which is certainly here in England, it's about connecting schools to industry. So, I mentor at Whalley Range High School for Girls, which is just down the road. And I talk to young girls who I recognize, even though we're certainly not the same color skin. It's very high level of ethnic minorities in that school. But they are from very underprivileged areas. But they have been probably religiously discriminated against at some point. And I'm a Northern Irish Catholic girl from Northern Ireland who grew up in the Troubles. So and I'm from a family of 8 and we didn't have any money. So I recognize a lot of those things, and I go down there to talk to them about what the exciting opportunities are in technology. And I'm not a techie person. I work in the digital sector, but I came from a 10-year career at Regis. And then a 2.5 year stint of founding my own startup with my co-founder at the time, Kim Johnson, with our startup WeDo Concierge. Some people out there might remember it, which was an incredible journey. So you can come into the digital sector. You don't have to do a digital job. There's lots of non-digital jobs in the digital sector, as well as those technical opportunities as well. So it's just about going down and communicating to them, because they don't know anything different other than what they might see at home or what they might see in their communities. So if we can go out there and just, spend an hour a month having a conversation with a couple of kids, you might have that sort of profound influence on their life. And what does it cost you? Just a bit of your time. So get out there talking to kids.
No,
in a safeguarding way.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, but for sure, there's definitely a push to bring industry into schools and talk about tech. I do see that. I don't know if it's form and structure, but definitely.
It has to come from industry, Kieran, because it moves. It's a juggernaut. It moves at such a pace. We can't keep up with it. Like the job descriptions that those kids are going to be applying for don't even exist yet. And I think it's like 80% of jobs are going to be, like, job titles are going to be obsolete within 10 years to what we're actually doing today. So, like, it has to come from industry, and it has to be real time, and it has to be consistent, so that they know what a solutions architect is, what a DevOps engineer is, and what that actually means. But when you strip away all those fancy titles and you take away all the kind of jargon, it's problem solving and communication and teamwork. And then, the technical skills are how you then facilitate bringing those solutions to life. And girls are incredibly great at all those things. So they should find that they would have a very good career. In fact, didn't all the computers back in NASA, weren't they all women back in the day?
There you go. Very good. So more facts today. Yeah, no, and for sure we're definitely seeing a change, and hopefully we'll see it quicker. But yep. I would definitely agree, if we were waiting for the government, not that it's just they move at a different pace. And we can see with COVID, gosh almighty, like the world was turned, and businesses that are into tech, gosh, I thought we were moving fast, but I tell you, I've learned how to run. I thought I was running before, but we're running now. So it's what changes in a couple of weeks is just incredible. So with everything, I totally agree.
I mean, COVID's an interesting one, because I think it has certainly for women, the caregivers in the family, who are now having to work from home. And even if your partner takes 50-50 off the tasks, the cognitive burden normally falls to the primary caregiver, who is normally the mum. And so they're having to deal with all of this extra unpaid work that they have to do, as well as trying to do their jobs. And it is having a profound negative effect on women's careers and opportunities. There was a recent article in The Guardian over the last few weeks which said that submissions from female researchers have plummeted, which is vital for them, for their career, because if they're not published in journals, they don't get research funding and they can't progress. Whereas submissions from men have gone up because they have all this extra time because their wives or partners are looking after the kids. So, I think, COVID has done damage. However, as you've just said, digital transformation has had a profound effect on all companies, and new normal will involve a higher amount of flexible working properly implemented, which hopefully will see us claw back some of those losses that we've made and hopefully release a whole new talent pipeline into all sectors, not just digital.
Yeah. Well, it's a new world, as you say. It's just how fast we can run and change and take advantage of it. So obviously there's a lot of support with yourselves, and you've seen that in the industry. Do you think in general for tech startups, is there enough support in the environment, in the business environment?
I think there is a lot out there, and I think that's maybe one of the challenges. I think when I was running the startup, I would say that there wasn't a lot. We were very fortunate to eventually get into, it was called the NatWest Accelerator now, and it was called, I've forgotten what it was called before. It did have another name, forgotten. It'll come to me. So we were very fortunate to get access to that support. But back then in Northern Ireland, that was the only sort of incubator that existed at the time. I know obviously the Danske Bank has now launched a co-work space, and Barclays Eagles is opening the Ormo Bass, I believe. So I think at that time there perhaps wasn't. But you're talking about back in 2015, things have moved on in 5 years. Whereas now there is a plethora of, free online, services. TechNation has an incredible entrepreneur academy, which you can access every kind of possible free workshop you can possibly imagine for every aspect of your business. You've got, a number of different accelerators that work remotely so that you can access them from anywhere, and that will probably accelerate now in our new normal world. So perhaps maybe the challenge is knowing it's like you can't see the woods for the trees. Now it's like, who do you go to for that or support, and where do you start? I think possibly might be where we've gone to, and we've tried to help here in Manchester try and kind of streamline that a bit. We've created the collection of startup ecosystem on our Wakelet channel, which you'll find on www.wakelet.com/@techmcr. And that details all of the different startup and scale-up organizations that are supporting. And I think what's really nice here, and I'm sure it's the same in Belfast and across the north, is that normally these organizations will work informally together already. So once you plug into one, you'll find that they will often introduce you to a whole network of people that will help support your business.
Just thinking of all the support that's out there. But you're right, it's actually, where do you go now? It's where do you go? Do you go left, right? What accelerator is better for different types of business? And obviously, again, I'm just thinking of the industry as a whole. It's becoming more and more important to the UK economy. And thinking of the jobs, the high value jobs. And again, as we're talking about what's happening with COVID and everything else, have you seen much then from COVID? Obviously, everything's changing how we work. But are some of the startups very excited and have loads of new opportunities? And some maybe their business model has to be re-looked at?
It's definitely a mix. It's definitely a mix. So just yesterday, I was recording a podcast with a payments app, a fintech app called Collective. Their co-founder Amy Whitehall is one of the co-founders there, and had a really great chat with her in terms of that app was designed for, we've all done it. We've all organized family parties, hen parties, trips, shared gifts, all that kind of stuff. And their app was basically designed around, creating for the organizer to be able to create like a link that you could send to all your people who were getting involved, and they could just click on the link and make a payment into that for whatever item that they're working on. And they have seen their biggest growth in April and May, as people have now started, the user cases have slipped away from travel and sports and events and things like that, which have all obviously become illegal. We can't do them. But now people are doing shopping for vulnerable, shielded neighbours, and they are doing sort of gifted they're sending things to each other via Amazon. I know my family have done that quite heavily over the last 3 months. So they've had their biggest growth months. Didsbury Gin is another example here. They have continued to produce gin, thank God. But they also pivoted and have now produced 1 million bottles of hand sanitizer for the Greater Manchester Police, because the ethanol, etc., is the same. The manufacturing process is very similar. So I think where the markets are to do, where things are growing, so anything to do with communication. So Paddock is another one. It's a new community app. It kind of blends Facebook groups with WhatsApp and PayPal. It's an app that you can download and create different communities on. They've had an explosion in different companies now taking white label versions of their product. So if you're in that kind of connecting people virtually space, if you're in the well-being and health space, if you're in medical, any kind of medical, where you can help find solutions, I think there's definitely pockets of opportunity, and it's about people adapting their business models to tap into those. The ones that don't, I think, I'm afraid will struggle, and investors will steer away from too, because that's the one. Investors are looking for growth markets, and that's what they'll be focusing on.
Very good. So companies really have to be innovative then, and look around what's happening and spot the opportunities, and try and pivot towards them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yourself, so you're sitting in a beautiful office, I know, in and out, but is that a space that the organisation provides, or is that where companies come and work?
So we have a small number of startups that we support here. As a team, we've actually basically worked from home since a week before lockdown, actually, because there unfortunately was one of the reception team on campus got diagnosed with the virus. So this campus shut down a week before lockdown, and I think we've found it very easy because we were already working in a very sort of agile way, and we had Office 365 and Teams. Probably weren't using it to the full extent that we should have been, but it was very easy then to move across. We had a bigger challenge with our learners who are attending the digital courses, because the face-to-face piece, the whole kind of transition, bringing these women on campus and getting them to embed in a tech environment where they come in here every day, almost like workers. They go to their classroom, they do their technical class, they go to have lunch in the cafe, the same as everybody else. They were wandering, going over to the technical floors and doing their job shadowing and getting to know the other employees. The whole vision of that was so that when they get their qualifications and then they move forward to, because they've been guaranteed interview at UK FAST for junior sysadmin roles, is that it would be the most comfortable, the most familiar thing for them to do. So it reduces all the barriers that they may have set up, perceived or otherwise, in terms of the opportunity to get the job. So moving them into a remote environment where they're now working in a Zoom environment, and it's very learner to tutor only and not sort of peer-to-peer engagement, has been a challenge. But I'm so proud of those women, because the resilience that they've shown, and perseverance, and even this week we're trying to get them through their exams, and I won't mention the exam platform that these are being carried out on, but the first two have not failed the exam, but the exam never started, and the extra stress and challenge that's presenting them, because they're mentally prepared to take those exams and then they don't happen, and we have to rebook them and they have to re-prepare themselves, but they will persevere and they will pass. And this is just more kind of credit to sort of the resilience and the absolute determination that they have to enter the digital workforce for the first time. So I'd say we've had a sort of experience of two halves with COVID. Our own move, very easy. For the learners, very challenging, but they've been incredible in terms of how they've persevered.
Yes, and just again, I listened to all the work that you and your team are doing. Do you think there needs to be more support for organisations like yourself? And there is, I'm thinking there is going to be across the whole UK and Ireland, there's going to be organisations doing what you're doing, but in different stages. Do you think it should be a bigger piece of what's happening in the ecosystem?
I think this pilot fund that the DCMS and Combined Authority is very interesting because it's being driven by co-delivery between employers and training organisations. And they've also actively sought out new and diverse training. Like Tech Manchester wasn't a training organisation. We are a tech incubator. That was our day job. This other stuff is more of our community work that we do. I think what I'd love to see is that we'll be able to produce some really significant case studies and prove the model that for employers that this is a very effective alternative diverse recruitment pathway. A lot of companies rely on referrals. Well, if you have a lot of sort of white men in your company, chances are their mates are white men, and that's who they're going to refer, and you just compound a problem. But if you then create new diverse pathways and then establish those new female ethnic candidates into your business who then have a positive experience, they will then start referring their family and friends, and that's how you can then sort of establish long lasting change. But other employers, I think what needs to happen is that, as I said before, the government can't fund this forever, but if you can prove the business case is that you can create consortium of employers who will work collaboratively together to fund those programs as a sustainable business model, and have access to those candidates at the end in return for their investment into their training and development.
Incredible. I love it. No, it makes perfect sense because although otherwise it's a dogfight for very few people, which distorts the market and causes medium-term problems for all the businesses who are involved. So it's amazing that they've had the foresight to actually solve the problem or attempt to solve it and work towards a solution.
Like, I don't know what the average salary is for technical people in Belfast, but obviously Manchester, I think, is about half of what it is in London, but it's still about £54,000 or something average, technical role. And the dogfight is just driving those salaries up. Well, if companies would just take a step back and actually invest in the grassroots a little bit, and I know how difficult it is for employers to take junior staff on, because for every junior you need a mid-level someone to support them. But if we all did a little bit, then we would start seeing some real momentum behind those numbers. And in 2 years' time, those juniors are your new mid-levels. Your mid-levels have progressed, and you start this sort of virtuous circle of development of people.
Yeah, and again, we're not in a deep technical space, but we're in a very competitive space. We have WordPress design, do voice apps, and again,
all technical. Digital marketing as well. The whole piece around, it's a minefield, the amount of technical knowledge that you need for each platform. And these new ones that are coming out, Snapchat and TikTok and all the opportunities that they present, it's constant, and
keeping up.
all of those.
And we give up, we wave the white flag in trying to recruit people with experience. And actually, exactly as you're saying, we've switched now to looking to hire amazingly talented young people who have the attitude and will fit the team culture and want to develop and work and bring them in that way, because it's just too hard. The other way, it's, as you say, you're it's a
you're just doing things differently.
Oh, yeah, very good. I like it. And you know what? It's working. It's the best thing. Some of the best team members we have are the ones that have been with us the whole time, and then they come in and they're soaking and absorbing the culture from us as opposed to anywhere else. And it's amazing, though. Without a doubt, it's the best decision we made. Is the ideas
that they have, the things that they think of and how they view the world is completely different to how you and I, look at it.
I couldn't agree more. So no, Mason, thank you for that. And again, what's next for Tech Manchester? It sounds like you've actually already got a amazing vision and actually implementing it, which is great. But what's next, and for yourself as well? Is it to continue to double down on this?
I think so. So we've just been fortunate enough to win the second round of the pilot fund. I think we were the only first round bidder that was successful the second time. I think we know that this area has got incredible talent. We know from the research that if you can train and qualify women from this area, that they will, that the commute, everything, having a job like that on their doorstep where they've got a high paying, career opportunity on their doorstep compared to having to drive across town to get it, even when they do qualify, will only lead to, higher levels of retention, because they'll have a great experience here. The culture in UK Fast and M247 next door is incredible. So having all of that on their doorstep and making their lives as easy as possible at the same time, as well as growing a career, will make this a very attractive offer. So yeah, we'll continue to invest our time and resources into supporting these women through this very incredibly challenging. It's not easy what they're trying to do. If anybody knows what the Red Hat Certified Systems Administrator course is, and starting from a standing start with absolutely no Linux experience at all, could be like, that's what these women are actually attempting. And we do expect about 80% of the women to pass the exam at the end of the course. So we're very hopeful for them and their opportunities ahead.
Just incredible. No, it's amazing. I'm just thinking of all these amazing talented people coming out at the other end. And
I'll try and get them to move to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, that's it. We could do them over here for sure. Yeah, that's it. The challenge, or come on over. Yeah. But no, it's incredible. Really, really interesting to hear what you're doing there. It does sound amazing. So again, thank you very much for your time today and just talking us through what's happening with tech in Manchester. It's been very insightful. So again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing. And just before we end our video, what's the best way for people to find out a little bit more and even connect with yourself?
Yeah, so you can find us on all the main social channels. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You'll find us at TEC MCR on Twitter, or myself, Trish Keating MCR on Twitter. And you'll find us then Tech Manchester on Facebook and LinkedIn, or check out our website, www.techmanchester.co.uk. And for anyone that is interested in maybe watching some of our content, then you'll catch all our highlights videos of all our different events, and also the full-length workshops on all those different technical skills for business, which entrepreneurs at that early stage, unfortunately, it's the hard road and you have to do all that stuff yourself. So you can sit down with a packet of popcorn and a cup of tea and work your way through those workshops and help develop your businesses.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
And check out the podcast.
Oh, no, for sure. And what we do is
subscribe on the podcast and check us out. We do weekly shows.
Amazing. No, and for sure. So anyone watching this video, please look below the video and you'll find links to all of those sites. And of course, do click through, check out some of the content. Any good content you see shared, and do check out the podcast for sure as well. So again, thank you very much for taking your time out today. That was brilliant.
Thanks, Kieran.
That was brilliant. And thank you for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this video, found it anyway useful, please do share it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you again.